Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala rasulihil kareem. So we are continuing with our discussion regarding unclear words. So we are now discussing Mujmal. Okay, so quick recap. We said we can have istidlal. We have the dalil we discussed in unit 1, a brief introduction to the dalil. Then we say how do we do istidlal from these dalil. So we do istidlal using the language, or we do istidlal using the concept. So istidlal lafzi is relating to the Quranic words and the prophetic words, but mainly Quranic words. And then we have here kalima. We analyze the words individually, or we analyze the sentence collectively. When we analyze the words individually, we look at the meaning or we look at the usage. In terms of the meaning, we say, well, the first thing we have to determine is the meaning of these words clear or they unclear. If they are clear, this word we categorize as wadih. And if these are unclear, we categorize it as ghayr wadih. Regarding wadih, we said the word can either refer to one fard, one member, one individual, one group, one particular jama'ah. But in summary, it's referring to one. This is called khas. And sometimes this khas can have a link. This khas can have a qaid or a restriction. This is called, or it can have no restriction. If it is unrestricted, it's called mutlaq. If it is restricted, it's called muqayyad. Is that clear? Then when we have am refers to multiple members, and am can be ghayr maqsoos or it can be maqsoos. We've discussed this previously. Am ghayr maqsoos is qat'iyu dalala. Am maqsoos is dhanniyu dalala in the remaining members. Okay. Then we have the ghayr wadih. And in ghayr wadih, we said here, well, we have different types of ghayr wadih. One is khafi. Khafi means we know the meaning of the word. The word is meaning is known, is not unclear. However, the application of that word to certain afrad, certain members is unclear. And the example we gave for that was al-qatilu la yarithu. A word, qatil, the one who commits murder will not inherit. We know what the word qatil means, but we're not sure of its application to involuntary manslaughter. That becomes that's khafi. So now it's ijtihad. So a khafi word becomes what? The niyu dalala. Each mujtahid will try his utmost to figure out the application of that word, but it's the niyu dalala. Then you have mushtarak. A mushtarak is a homonym, it has multiple words. If you try to determine one of the meanings, that becomes mu'awwal. Mu'awwal meaning the mujtahid has tried to use context as other evidences to determine which word is being intended. It's called mushtarak. Mushkal is also a word, dakhala fi ashkalihi. The multiple, similar to homonym, but it has a slight difference. We discuss that later on, inshallah, in Usool Shashi. And then you have mujmal. This is where we're currently at. And then we'll have mutashabih. Now, what does mujmal mean? Mujmal is an intrinsically unclear word. What does intrinsically mean? In itself. And in the previous ones, in the previous khafi, in mushtarak, in mushkil, it's like, okay, we need to just do a bit of tadabbur, do a bit of ijtihad, bit of rational logic, bit of common sense, put one and one together, use other evidences to come to the intended meaning or try to figure out what is being meant here. A mujmal is a word that says, look, we can't figure this word out. We need a bayan. What does bayan mean? Clarification. We need a clarification, explanation. Explanation in Arabic is called what? In Arabic it's called tafsir. In Usool Fiqh, Hanafi Usool Fiqh, we say bayan. So we need a bayan to clarify the intended meaning. Are you following? So we are not able to solve this word. Yes? Yes. And when the mujmal, so when you have a mushtarak and you determine one of the meanings, it becomes mu'awwal. And when you have a mujmal and you determine the meaning, this is known as mufassar. Yes, that the mutakallim, the speaker, he has clarified his intended meaning. And obviously in mufassar, when the mutakallim himself says, I meant this is qat'iyu dalala, there's no room for interpretation in here. Now look at this one here. Innal insana khuliqa halu'a. Now, linguistically, logatan, can you figure out what it means? But let's assume, let's say some mufassirun have said that the word halu'an, they do not know what this word means. So now this is unclear, it's mujmal. However, the Prophet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the very next word gives an example of what halu, he explains what halu is. So halu is what? إِذَا مَسَّهُ الشَّرُّ جَزُوعًا. When evil or when hardship afflicts him, he becomes jazu' and he becomes very anxious and very opposite of sabr. وَإِذَا مَسَّهُ الْخَيْرُ مَنُوعًا. And when some good comes unto him, he does not wish to share this good and impart this good and this barakah and khair and wealth and goodness to other people. So now this is a tafsir of halu'an. So the word halu'an is mufassar. It has been explained here exactly. This is qat'iyu dalala. There is no room for interpretation. Halu'an means four-legged animal, or example, or two-legged animal, or halu'an means weak. Halu'an means this is a tafsir, mutakallim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself has explained what it is. Another example is, another example of this, it could fall under mushtarak, but let's say, for example, we have here, والسماء والطارق. So والسماء والطارق. So طرق يطرق لغة, طرق يطرق in lugha means to come at night. So that thing that comes at night is called طروق. طرق يطرق طروقا. So والسماء والطارق والنجم الثاقب. No, السماء والطارق وما أدراك ما الطارق. So then Allah asks, what is الطارق? And Allah does tafsir himself. النجم الثاقب. النجم الثاقب. Okay, النجم الثاقب. And this is mufassar. So this word, I don't know if you want to call it mujmal, but this word is kind of mushtarak. Many things are tariq. Yes? But night, Allah says, no, the sama is, this is tafsir. It's been explained by the mutakallim what he intends. This is mufassar. From the mutakallim, he has explained the meaning. Yes? And obviously now, this is qat'iyu dalala. Understood? Similarly, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu kutiba alaykum as-siyam. This may not 100% fit because the Arabs used to fast before, but just be a bit, let's be a loose on this. So the word sama yasumu sawman in the Arabic language literally means to restrict something, to hold something back. So for example, it says samatil faras. Yes, what does that mean? Asam al faras means what? When you get a horse and there's some kind of way that you train the horse or you build up his muscles, what do? You withhold it from eating certain foods, or you keep it together, you don't let it run, or you let it sweat out. So sama means to hold, withhold. That's why it comes in the Quran. Inni nadartu lirrahmani sawma. Maryam alayhi salatu wassalam. What did she say? Inni nadartu lirrahmani sawma. I have made a vow for sawm. So sawman means imsak, to abstain, to withhold. I withhold from speaking, not to fast and to do what? To have what we call in Urdu a roza, or to have a fast, meaning not eat and drink. It means I will not speak, and Allah will make the child speak, and He will clarify who he is. So sawm means lughatan, to withhold. Now, kutiba alaykum as-siyam, what does it mean? So we know in our minds right now, because we have the tafsir in front of us, sawm means to abstain from eating, drinking, and cohabiting from dawn until sunset. Correct? But before the clarification came, kutiba alaykum as-siyam, what does siyam mean? It's mujmal. If the Prophet never explained it to us, we wouldn't know what it means. Like the Arabs never used the word sawm to mean fasting, abstaining from eating, drinking, and cohabitation with the intention of ibadah from this time to this time. They use it in the word imsak. So if this verse was revealed, let's say for argument's sake, and the word siyam was never explained, we say this is mujmal, we need a bayan, we don't know how to do amal upon this. Similarly, salah. Similarly, for example, salah. Oh, let's do zakah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. The word zakah. The zakah literally means purification. 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 Yes? Don't worry my spelling. Purification. Now, the Arabs use it that's why, for example, in a hadith, the Prophet ﷺ says, Zakatul janini zakatu ummihi. That the zakat of if you have an animal, a cow or a camel or a sheep, and the animal that you slaughtered, it happened to have a child in its womb. Yes? So you slaughtered the animal, the calf, the cow, whatever, and it ended up being a child in the womb. You didn't know. Now, it says here, Zakatul Janeen. That's the purification of the animal, meaning slaughtering of the animal, removing the flowing blood. So linguistically, zakat has meant purification. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Wa'atu zakah, Wa'atu zakah, Wa'atu zakah, what does zakat mean? We know what it means now, because the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has explained to us in many ahadith. But zakah linguistically meant purification. How do you give purification? What does this mean? The Arabs would not have known what this meant. They know what the linguistically meant. But without the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's bayan and his explanation and his clarification, we would not have been able to practice it. This word is a mujmal. You following? The word zakah for us is mufassar, because we have the hadith in front of us. We have all the text that clarifies what zakat means. But initially, when it's first revealed, before the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained to the people, this was mujmal, ambiguous. We don't know what it means, and there's no. It's not like, okay, al-qatil la yarith, We know what qatil means. What does it apply here? It's not like that. It's just we don't know what you're talking about. Ata zakah. What does that mean? Give purity. How do you give purity? Then the Prophet explained it with a bayan. He gave a bayan. Now it's become mufassar, meaning it's clarified. It has a known meaning. So it's like wadih now. It becomes wadih and clear. We know what it means. So the word zakah referring to charity is qat'iyyu dalala. Why? Because Allah said, wa'atu zakah, do zakah, give zakah. And then we didn't know what it means. We were waiting for a bayan. And the Prophet gave a bayan to explain what it meant. So now this zakah is qat'iyyu dalala. So therefore, if somebody says, well, zakah doesn't mean this. We have a modern day issue, for example, so salah doesn't mean prayers. Salah literally means salah means, well, salah, what is multiple meaning of salah? One meaning of salah is like dua. One meaning of salah is to make prayer, is to make dua. Yes? But the Prophet ﷺ has clarified. So he said, aqimus salah, establish salah. What is it? It's mujmal. But the Prophet has given a tafsir. And the tafsir is ijma' of the tafsir. That salah means what we call takbir, qiyam, ruku, sujood. This is tafsir, is mufassar. So therefore, if somebody says, I accept that salah is in the Quran, but salah does not mean what you are doing here. Salah is something else. He's refusing a verse of the Quran. So you could probably say, well, this is very, very problematic. You understand? In theory, in essence, whether you say it or not, in essence, you're actually rejecting the Quran because this is mufassar. This has been clarified. So you're accepting the word, but the meaning which has been provided qat'an. You're rejecting that meaning. So in essence, whether you say it or not, you're rejecting the Quran. You understand? So you have it as-siyam, as-zakah, as-salah. Certain words are mujmal. Yes? And when the bayan comes, it doesn't remain mujmal anymore. It becomes mufassar. And it goes over from wadih, ghayr wadih, over to wadih. It becomes like, it's wadih, not from the language perspective, but because of the mutakallim's explanation. So what we could say here, we can make another categorization, and we can say here that when you have a wadih word that is known, the meaning is known, it is either known because of the lugha, the actual language of the Arabs, lughatan, linguistically. So without any clarification, linguistically, without bayan, without any clarification from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we knew what this meant. فَاغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ وَأَيْدِيَكُمْ. There's no need for bayan. The Prophet said, when Allah said, إِذَا قُمْتُمْ, when you stand, إِلَى الصَّلَاةِ, we have bayan for that now. فَاغْسِلُوا. So we know what فَاغْسِلُوا, the Arab, not we, but the Arabs knew what فَاغْسِلُوا meant. The Arabs knew what wujuh meant. The Arabs knew what أَيْدِيَكُمْ meant. That is mufassar lughatan. It's wadih, it's clear from the lugha perspective. And then we have some that are wadih because of a bayan. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained what it meant. So these are mufassar. They were originally mujmal, but the Prophet ﷺ gave a bayan, explanation, so now it moved from mujmal over to mufassar. And these words were originally ghayr wadih, unclear. Like we don't know what it meant. But when now the bayan has come, so we can say ghayr wadih is mujmal. And because of the bayan, we move it over to wadih. Is that clear to everybody? Understood? Any questions? سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك ونشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت ونستغفرك ونتوب إليك